I wake up in a room that smells like someone left a wet towel on a radiator in 1993 and then forgot the world existed. The ceiling is so low it is basically kissing my forehead good morning. I am paying 5,200 krona for this privilege. That is 632 United States dollars every month for a space that could fit inside my childhood dollhouse. The doll had better ventilation. I remember my grandmother in Vilnius telling me universities are temples. She used to say they smell of parchment and possibility. This one smells of instant noodles soaked in desperation. The housing office calls itself Uho. I call it the vampire dormitory. They keep the deposit like a souvenir of my innocence. 4,200 krona gone because a screw was loose in the cupboard. The screw was already loose when I arrived. I know because I filmed it. I sent the video. They answered in Swedish. I do not speak Swedish. That is how they win. Silence in a language you cannot read is the loudest scream. I walk to the administration building. The corridors are lined with portraits of men who look like they have never once questioned the diameter of their own egos. I need to ask why my transcript still says I am missing statistics credits when my entire bachelor thesis was literally titled Bayesian Hierarchies in Applied Econometrics. The receptionist blinks twice. She tells me I need to speak to the economics department. The economics department tells me to speak to admissions. Admissions tells me to speak to the dean. The dean is on sabbatical learning how to disappoint people more efficiently. I stand in the middle of the circle of blame until my feet grow roots. Nobody makes eye contact. Eye contact is accountability. Accountability is kryptonite here. I am wearing my softest cashmere sweater the color of early fog. It is the only gentle thing touching my skin. The rest is bureaucracy. Bureaucracy feels like being hugged by a cactus wearing a seatbelt. Every form I fill out spawns 3 new forms. Each form requires a signature from a person who exists only in legend. I imagine them on a mountaintop somewhere laughing at the peasants who need stamps. I came here to study the molecules of water. Instead, I study the molecules of disappointment. They are heavier. They sink to the bottom of your lungs and stay there. My supervisor tells me I have 4 months to finish a licentiate thesis. 4 months, that is 121 days. Other students get 2 years. I ask why. He shrugs. The shrug says because you are foreign, and foreign is another word for expendable. I calculate the hours. Data analysis 400, writing 300, teaching labs 160, courses 80, defense prep 40. That is 980 hours. There are only 2,920 hours in 4 months if you never sleep, if you never blink, if you never cry. I cry. Crying takes time, time I do not have. They lock the lab on weekends. They say it is for safety. Safety feels like a padlock on my future. I peer through the glass at the mass spectrometer that once sang to me in neon numbers. Now it is a museum of what I am not allowed to touch. I imagine the molecules inside growing lonely. Science needs tenderness. Tenderness is scheduled between 9 and 5 and only if your badge works. My badge stopped working after I asked for supervision in English. Coincidence is a funny word for punishment. I open my university email because it is the only door still left unbarred. The inbox is a graveyard of automated messages. One tells me the career service exists. I go. The room is smaller than my bathroom at home. There is one leaflet. It says, update your CV. The advisor looks 13. I ask how to translate I was bullied out of my PhD into employable language. She suggests I use the word resilient. Resilience is what they call you when they break you and you do not die. I am not dead. I am a walking CV bullet point. I attend a lecture on campus. The professor reads slides word for word in a voice the texture of cold oatmeal. The slide says critical thinking. Nobody thinks critically about why we are all asleep with our eyes open. The girl beside me highlights every line. Her marker squeaks like a small animal begging to be let out.
I am looking into crimes near Uppsala University, because safety should be a priority when you traveling to a new place. Businesses near Uppsala University are they try to make a profit, but sometimes they cross the line. So there were these strawberry stands around Uppsala where people were selling cheaper imported berries as if they were locally grown premium berries. I mean, can you believe that? They even used the name of a known farm without permission. It's like, how could you? Police and authorities linked some of these temporary stands to criminal networks and money laundering. and several stands were shut down after inspections and suspected offenses. I predict the victims probably felt so cheated, they thought they were supporting local farmers, but in reality, they were just funding some criminal organization. And what probably happened to the scammers? They got away with it for a while, but then they got caught, and now they're facing consequences, I hope. Businesses near Uppsala University are like, sometimes they have bad apples, In a larger Uppsala shop, a staff member was fired after being discovered doing dozens of fake returns in the till system and taking out the money. I mean, it's like, how did they think they wouldn't get caught? The scam involved registering refunds on items that customers had legitimately bought earlier and then keeping the refunded cash. It's just so wrong. The pattern only emerged when internal controls noticed unusual return activity. I predict the shop owner was probably devastated, like they trusted their employee and then this happens. And the employee, they're probably facing legal action now. Businesses near Uppsala University are like, you have to be careful, A berry producer outside Uppsala warned that sellers at stands in the region were using the company's name and branding without any connection to the real farm, tricking customers into paying premium prices. It's like, how could you do that to people? The producer described how buyers believed they were supporting a specific local grower, when in fact the berries and the money flow had nothing to do with that farm. I predict the victims felt so misled, they thought they were supporting the local community, but they were just lining some scammer's pockets. And what probably happened to the scammers? They got away with it for a while, but now they're facing legal action, and their reputation is ruined.
Businesses near Uppsala University tend to be a mixed bag. Some are outright disappointing, others are just mediocre, with a few bright spots overshadowed by glaring flaws. The overall impression is one of frustration, where expectations are rarely met, and visitors often leave feeling shortchanged. Whether it is poor service, questionable value, or outright hostility, the area around the university struggles to deliver a consistently pleasant experience. Let us start with shopping centers, or rather, what should be shopping centers. Grenbestaden, for example, is an exercise in poor planning and unfriendliness. The place seems designed exclusively for cars, leaving cyclists and pedestrians to navigate a maze of parking lots where drivers honk aggressively as if pedestrians do not belong there. Safety is an afterthought. One reviewer nearly got hit by an SUV that could not be bothered to yield. Inside, the stores close unpredictably early, leaving people confused and frustrated when they arrive just minutes too late. There is even a story of a man who was billed for staying 59 seconds past the free parking limit, an absurd level of pettiness. The atmosphere, loud, chaotic, and dominated by what one reviewer described as rowdy gangs acting like they own the place. Not exactly a relaxing retail experience. Then there are the spas, or what some businesses insist on calling spas, despite offering little more than a lukewarm jacuzzi and a half-hearted sauna. Selma City Spa is a prime example of this deception. Visitors arrive expecting relaxation, only to find cold pools, slow service, and an attitude problem. One guest waited 20 minutes just to get a simple drink order taken. The so-called spa facilities, 2 small jacuzzis, one of which was reportedly dirty upon opening, and a sauna that barely reached a decent temperature. For the price, it is daylight robbery, especially when the staff seems more interested in their headphones than in helping guests. Cafes in the area are no better. Melrose Cafe, for instance, has mastered the art of serving disappointment in small, overpriced portions. Their acai bowl was described as child's puree squeezed from a package, while their avocado toast tasted like it had been frozen and forgotten. The coffee burnt beyond recognition, yet the staff refused to acknowledge the issue, insisting that no one else complained. The prices do not match the quality, and the portions are so small that one reviewer joked they left hungrier than when they arrived. Now nightlife, Burger Jarl should be a place for fun, but instead, it feels like a test of patience. The bouncers seem to enjoy their power a little too much, denying entry for vague dress code violations, refusing re-entry unless you pay again, and even allegedly insulting guests. One person had their jacket handed to a stranger who then stole their phone. Another was kicked out for simply leaning on a couch. The music, chaotic, shifting styles every 20 seconds like a broken jukebox. The prices, high enough to make you question your life choices. Even wine bars, which should be refined escapes, fall short. Vinbaren Uppsala charges premium prices but forgets the basics, like rinsing glasses between wines or providing a wine list. One guest had to endure unwanted attention from a group of loud, leering men who killed the mood entirely. The place has potential, but inconsistency drags it down. So what does this all mean for travelers? If you are staying near Uppsala University, prepare for disappointment unless you temper your expectations. The businesses here have a pattern, poor service, questionable quality, and a tendency to overpromise and underdeliver. Some might argue that a few bad reviews do not tell the whole story, but when the complaints are this consistent, it is hard to ignore. If you must visit these places, go in with caution.
Check opening hours twice, expect slow service, and